Mr. Vice President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates and participants, it is an honor to address this Council for the first time since my appointment as a Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in October last year. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the mandate. In my first report that I am presenting before you today, pursuant to the Human Rights Council Resolution 53/14, I take stock of the impressive achievements of the mandate over the past decade and outline my vision and priorities to push forward the disability agenda. The report on the country visit to Georgia, carried out in September 2023 by the former Special Rapporteur Gerard Quinn, is also submitted in this session. I thank the government of Georgia for the cooperation extended to the mandate prior and during the country visit, and look forward to working together to follow up on the implementation of the recommendations made in the report. Mr. Vice President, let me start by acknowledging the invaluable contributions made by two predecessors, Catalina de Vandes and Gerard Quinn. Their commitment, expertise, research, consultations led to thematic guidance and recommendations on how to concretely implement key aspects of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. I am proud to say that the work of the mandate helped to develop and spread understanding how policymakers should translate into principles and standards into practice. Some of the foundational issues addressed early on, such as participation, disability inclusion policies, and legal capacity, are now much better articulated and implemented in national legislation and policies. Still, the COVID-19 pandemic and other major global challenges showed that progress cannot be taken for granted. Despite the nearly universal ratification of the Convention, much more needs to be done for and with persons with disabilities so that they can enjoy the exercise their human right. The report also highlights studies on complex and emerging issues from the perspective of persons with disabilities. Here, the work on persons with disabilities in situations of armed conflicts and the impact of potential new technologies such as artificial intelligence connects the rights of persons with disabilities with global challenges facing all humans. Excellencies, in many ways in which build on and expand the work of my predecessors to promote the rights of persons with disabilities and advocate for disability inclusion at all levels. Over the past decade, we have broadened the agenda by including a disability voice in debates on global issues where persons with disabilities were nearly too invisible. Since 2019, we have a UN Disability Inclusion Strategy providing a framework for thematic disability inclusion across the UN system. For nearly 5 years, we also have a UN Security Council resolution especially focusing on the protection of persons with disabilities in armed conflict discussions. Resolution 2475. But we also have a world facing multiple crises, a wave of brutal armed conflict, the negative effect of climate change, increasing polarized societies, inequalities, discrimination, and rising cost of living. In this context, my priority is to make sure that the protection of the rights of persons with disabilities is part of the responses and solutions to such crises. This will also frame my thematic work going forward. Across all my work, I will ensure a strong gender focus as a cross-cutting issue and will also include other intersectional aspects. I would like to highlight some of the thematic issues I plan to focus on. First, there is a need for more inclusion of the voices of persons with disabilities, integration of their needs all along the cycle of emergency responses, planning, and delivery. I also plan to explore this issue from the context of climate change effects and their impact on persons with disabilities. Second, digital technology and artificial intelligence bringing great promise to make support services, information, participation in decision-making more accessible, affordable, available to persons with disabilities. Also, more and more analysis and regulatory efforts at different levels deal with new technologies. It is crucial not to leave persons with disabilities behind. Otherwise, new barriers and exclusion will undermine the rights for decades to come. Third, I intend to bring a strong focus on the situation of families of persons with disabilities, which intrinsically affects the rights of persons with disabilities, and especially children with disabilities. A healthy and safe family environment is a key element for all children to enjoy their human rights. Families of children with disabilities are, however, often under great pressure in terms of receiving care, support for themselves, and provided for their children. This is due to the lack of support and care systems, including the provision of financial resources, support services, and products such as assistive and digital services and digital technology, and stigma and discrimination that will prevail in many laws, policies within the communities. Such pressure falls disproportionately on women and most often on mothers of children with disabilities. For me, the issue of care and support systems is a key element so that the present and future generations of persons with disabilities have all the opportunity to live independently in their communities and enjoy their rights. I am greatly encouraged by the increasing attention of this Council to care and support systems and their effect on the rights of women, children, older persons, persons with disabilities. I look forward to connecting my thematic work to these issues. Distinguished delegates and participants, the current global context calls for strong multilateral action across the 3 pillars of the UN. Bold action inclusive of persons with disability is needed. Otherwise, they will continue to be left behind. As evidenced during the COVID-19 pandemic, discrimination and ableism have not been overcome. Disability-specific action and disability mainstreaming are needed to ensure tangible and sustainable change so that persons with disability enjoy their rights. In this sense, I am particularly committed to raising the disability perspective in process linked to accelerating the implementation of Sustainable Development Agenda and efforts to bring transformative action for future of humanity. Here I look with hope to upcoming Summit of the Future as an opportunity to strengthen human rights protection in general and especially for persons with disability. I urge states to concretely include the rights of persons with disabilities in the outcome document of the summit. I look forward to undertaking my first official country visit to hear from persons with disability as to the most pressing human issues they are facing, their aspirations and their needs, and innovative policy development in their countries. Since assuming my responsibilities, I sent country visits requests to many states and will follow with requests to other states from more regions as I developed a plan for country visits for the next few years. I encourage government to respond favorably to my requests and also thank all governments that extend an invitation and share information with me on issues where I may be of assistance. Finally, let me express my gratitude to member states, United Nations entities, persons with disabilities and representative organizations, civil society, academic institutions, and all others for their valuable support and contributions to the work of the mandate. I am deeply committed to continue and strengthen cooperation with you on the issues I highlighted, especially at the regional level, as regional organization mechanisms have much to offer to move the rights of persons with disabilities forward. Excellencies, distinguished participants, I look forward to our discussion today and thank you for your engagement with my mandate. Thank you.